Hello there, good evening. You are watching Wednesday's Look North on the programme tonight. A North Yorkshire mum is raising awareness about brain tumours after her own misdiagnosis.
That was the hardest thing because, you kind of punch to the ground and you've got to get yourself back up again, and you've told other people you're okay, and you've told your kids it's okay, and then you've got to go, actually, no, it's not.
We'll hear about investment in brain tumour research. Also tonight, we meet the Leeds homeowner who's waited a week for Yorkshire Water to fix a sewage flood in her garden. Pioneering Yorkshire research giving stroke patients a high-tech way back to health. And we meet Edie, the Sharpie, 6 years at the Dogs Trust and still waiting for love and a forever home.
Milder weather is on its way as we head into the weekend, but in the next 24 hours, we're talking about cloud and rain and the risk of some hill snow. Join me for that very latest forecast.
I felt flawed and blindsided. The thoughts of a 46-year-old woman from the Yorkshire Dales diagnosed with a brain tumour. Lizzie Pitt from Horswick was initially told that her illness was manageable, but after surgery and treatment in Leeds came a devastating prognosis that the cancer was in fact terminal. Keen to raise awareness for better research and treatment, Lizzie's spoken to Heidi Tomlinson.
If it was up to me, we'd have cheese on toast every night.
Trying to carry on as normal, Lizzie and Alpit are concentrating on good nutrition, but life has changed immeasurably after an incident last year.
And I was literally sat on the settee, had my laptop out, and got up, must have got up to have the seizure, but not knowing. On the floor, our son comes downstairs and shouts up to Dad, Al, who'd gone to bed, saying, Mum's acting weird.
Scans revealed a brain tumour. Initially, it was thought to be slow growing.
And they said, it's better than we thought. It's 90% grade 2, 10% grade 3. So I was so relieved because I thought, well, that's doable. I can work with that.
However, awake brain surgery was brought forward to remove part of the tumour and take a biopsy. 2 weeks later, Lizzie was called in early to be told again it was a low-grade tumour. But a month on came the worst possible news. It was a glioblastoma, aggressive and incurable.
The fact that I was told it was a lower grade than it was, giving that false hope, that was the hardest thing because, you kind of punch to the ground and you've got to get yourself back up again, and you've told other people you're okay, and you've told your kids it's okay, and then you've got to go, actually, no, it's not.
Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust has offered a sincere apology that Lizzie's diagnosis was not clearly communicated, saying the true extent of glioblastoma can only be confirmed through tests over a period of time. This is a rare form of cancer and Lizzie's condition advanced quickly. She's now being supported by our cancer team. After radiotherapy and chemo, a more holistic approach. Lizzie believes supplements may help to prolong life and is now looking into immunotherapy in Germany.
Yes, if you hadn't shared that GoFundMe link, Rowan, there's absolutely no way we would have made the money we made.
Her 18-year-old daughter, Rowan, is helping with the fundraising. Family life at home become a lot more special, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've always been a really close family, but I feel like you really appreciate it more, and you realise you are lucky for what you've got.
Yeah, because you're very close, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. My best friend. Yeah.
It's always there in the back of your head, but it's sort of like the elephant in the room. Even though you do try and not ignore things, but just carry on, especially for the kids and stuff, just try and, make them have a normal life.
Ooh, we're going to get blown away here, Felix. When I first came out of hospital, I was saying to people, why do we wait for a special occasion? Every day is a special occasion. Every day is a gift. No one's guaranteed tomorrow. It sounds a cliche, but it's true.
Time with family is precious. The only focus, the only way to cope is to cherish every moment. Heidi Tomlinson, BBC Look North, Hawkswick.
Well, we do wish Lizzie well. Earlier I spoke to Dr Anke Brunning-Richardson, who's a senior lecturer at the University of Huddersfield and a trustee of Yorkshire's Brain Tumour Charity. I began by asking her how unusual it is for a misdiagnosis like Lizzie had when it comes to brain tumours.
Well, I wouldn't say it's unusual. You hear more and more cases about it, and that's because the symptoms associated with brain tumours are really vague, because they are associated maybe with other brain disorders or diseases, so you wouldn't necessarily sort of associate them with a brain tumour. So in this case, this would happen, you know, that there's a misdiagnosis.
When it comes to certain cancers like breast cancer, bowel cancer, we often hear about new treatments that are coming through. Why is that not happening with brain cancers?
Well, brain cancers are very different, a very sort of more aggressive disease. They're what we call heterogeneous cancers, so they're built up in a completely different way than the other cancer types. So we have at the moment only really one drug that we've been using for the last 30 years. And we also need more funding. So we are heavily underfunded, so maybe we get about 2% of the total money spent on cancer research. So you can see how we're lagging behind in that respect, that we haven't got the facilities or the money to do groundbreaking or more groundbreaking research.
The government announced, didn't it, only a couple of months ago, 13.7 million for brain cancer research.
Yes.
How much of a difference will that make?
That will make a huge difference. If you think about, for example, if I do a 3-year project in my lab for research, it will cost around £300,000 to really have somebody in place that can do the research. Obviously the facilities, the reagents and so on. So you can see how much that money will make in terms of, you know, output and, you know, getting us results that we really need.
Yeah, we know people often struggle to access trials, don't they? The National Cancer Plan that was recently announced, how will that help people with this sort of cancer?
Well, I think it will really allow streamlining, sort of assigning people to the right clinical trials. Before that, I think it ran mainly through the clinicians that were treating the patients, but now if it's more coordinated, hopefully these particular patients will have access to the trials and, you know, benefit from that.
And to specialists as well in that area?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Anka, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
OK, we're going to move on now. The Supreme Court has ruled that a child injured at birth through maternity errors can sue the NHS for lost earnings for the lives they should have had. The case centred on a baby girl who suffered a brain injury at Sheffield Teaching Hospitals in 2015. Now, until now, young children have only been able to claim lost earnings for the years that they're expected to live, and not the full lives that they could have had. This ruling could have significant cost implications for the health service. Our health correspondent Jamie Coulson can explain more about this.
The Supreme Court has had to consider whether a child whose life expectancy has been cut short as a result of clinical negligence should be able to receive compensation for the years they would otherwise been able to earn money or receive a pension had they lived a full life. This is known as lost years damages. Now, this claim relates to a child born here in 2015 who suffered a catastrophic brain injury and whose life expectancy has now been estimated at 29 years. It's previously been agreed at trial that had she not had this injury, she would have gone on to have a full life expectancy, would have worked till 68 and would have received a pension. But until now, it's been impossible for children like this to claim lost years compensation like adults because of a previous Court of Appeal ruling. Well, today, the Supreme Court has overturned that original decision by a majority.
The Supreme Court allows the claimant's appeal and holds that lost years damages can be recovered in cases where the claimant is a young child, just as they can in cases where the claimant is an adolescent or an adult.
The defendant in the case had argued that it would be too speculative for courts to decide on the future earning capacity of children, but the Supreme Court said there was no basis for children to be treated differently to adults. The mother of the child at the centre of this case has said that she is elated by the change in the law and that this will go on to help lots of other families. Of course, it does have potential implications for the NHS in terms of compensation claims.
I don't think there's an easy way of putting a financial figure on it. It will affect quite a number of children, I think, but it really is only bringing children into line with adults. This is a head of loss that people who are adults have long been able to claim for many, many years. So this really evens things up.
Sheffield Teaching Hospitals has apologised to the family and said it's made significant changes to the way women are monitored during labour since the incident. NHS Resolution, which handles medical negligence claims, says it is now carefully considering the ruling. Meanwhile, the family at the centre of this case will have their claim for compensation decided at a later date.
Jamie Coulson reporting for us there. We're going to have a look now at some other news that's coming into the newsroom today. A man has died in a crash involving an HGV in Halifax town centre earlier today. The 72-year-old was a pedestrian on Broad Street near the Crossroads junction when he was hit by the lorry at about 10:30 a.m. this morning. A 59-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving and remains in custody. Police are appealing for any witnesses to come forward. Investigations are continuing into the suspected murder of a man in Keighley after a fifth man was arrested. 35-year-old Sahel Chowdhury was found with serious head injuries in Flasby Street in Keighley on February the 8th. He died 3 days later from those injuries. A 41-year-old man was arrested in Bradford on suspicion of murder and remains in custody. 4 other men remain on police bail. A man's been taken to hospital after a light aircraft crashed in North Yorkshire. The plane came down in the Massam area this lunchtime. Stuart Wincup sent this report a short time ago for us.
Well, there's still quite a significant police presence here. Over the last hour, we've seen a number of cars and vans pass along here. Now, North Yorkshire Police say they first started to receive reports that a light aircraft had crashed just before 12:30 today. Local people said they saw a lot of activity around here, a big response from the emergency service. There was one man on the aircraft at the time. He was treated at the scene and then airlifted to Leeds General Infirmary. He's receiving treatment there. But while he's receiving treatment in hospital, an investigation is already underway into what happened here. North Yorkshire Police say a team of experts and investigators are here gathering evidence. Stuart Wincup, BBC Look North.
Now here's something a little bit different. Our next story takes toilet talk to a whole new level. A woman from Leeds has criticised Yorkshire Water after her garden patio was left covered in raw sewage for a week. Rachel Pickles from Farsley first reported the issue last Wednesday. It's believed to have been caused by a blockage further up the street. Cathy Minton went along to find out more.
Spring is around the corner and many of us will be looking forward to getting out into our gardens once again, but not Rachel Pickles. A week ago, raw sewage began coming out of the drains outside her home and pooling on the patio.
It started off with just a few patches around this sort of area of what looked like brown toilet paper. Since then I've had obviously the rain, it's created these puddles. The drain is now completely blocked up and you can see toilet paper coming out of it, so it's just getting worse and worse, and it's started going around the side of my house because there's nowhere else for it to flow.
Well, I'm sure this story is probably putting a lot of you off your tea this evening, and I'm sorry about that. We've only been here for a couple of hours and the smell and the sight of this garden is really unpleasant. And for Rachel and her neighbours, they've been living with this for a whole week. When Rachel first contacted Yorkshire Water about the problem, she was told help would arrive within a couple of days. But it's only now, a week later, and after we'd finished filming, that an engineer came to the house. For Rachel, who suffers with fatigue due to a health condition, it's been stressful and infuriating.
I'm really angry about it. It's just, I think that's as disgusting as the mess is, to be honest. It's horrible. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be here anymore, but I want to make sure that the problem gets fixed.
The issue is believed to be caused by a blockage in the communal pipes further up the street. In a statement, Yorkshire Water apologised and said, "Our colleagues in the field are dealing with much higher than usual workload following the continuous rainfall felt over much of the start of the year. But they're working very hard to tackle all sewer flooding incidents in a timely manner as possible, prioritising those that are impacting the inside of homes or businesses." But for Rachel and her neighbours, the cash spent on water rates feels like money down the drain. Cathy Minton, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Well, we hope that's not put you off your dinner. Let's have a look now at some of the stories from around our region that are appearing on the BBC News app. First up, staff at a volunteer-run Edwardian Theatre say they're feeling very lucky after a fire at the historic building caused minimal damage to the performance space. 4 council-run swimming pools in Bradford are to get more than £600,000 of investment. The money will be spent on essential maintenance. And time stood still in Barnsley. The 92-year-old town hall clock has stopped working just weeks after being reinstalled following major repair work. And you can get more details on those stories and everything else that's happening around our region by downloading the BBC News app. Next tonight, a woman from Doncaster has been helped by pioneering research in Sheffield that could change the way patients recover their mobility after a stroke. Now, Amanda James Hammett was only 39 and pregnant when she had a stroke 5 years ago. The lasting effects mean she still struggles with speech and the full use of her hands. Shauna McCallum has been finding out more for us.
For Amanda, sewing has always been her passion.
So this is the sewing room?
With my sewing room.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But since having a stroke 4 years ago, at just 37 years old, it has become much more challenging.
So this is my stroke hand. So this is affected here, on here. And
okay, so this kind of index finger.
Index finger, yeah.
Weakness in the hand and arm affects around a third of stroke survivors. Amanda's speech was affected by her stroke as well as her arm mobility. The usual treatment is physiotherapy, but some researchers have been working on a tech solution. It focuses on an important neural pathway that runs through the body. Researchers here at the Royal Hallamshire Hospital and University of Sheffield have been working with a simple device that taps into the vagus nerve to help speed up arm weakness recovery.
These 2 electrodes sit inside the ear just like this and stimulate the branch of the vagus nerve that's in the ear. One of the things we know about stroke recovery is that pulses of stimulation in short bursts alongside movement and rehabilitation seem to be the most effective way to stimulate the vagus nerve. So in this trial we've got a bespoke setup which involves a movement sensor. So participants in the trial will wear this on their wrist, on their weaker arm, and as they're doing their rehab movements, this quickly senses that they're moving and sends a pulse via the app to the stimulator, so then they can synchronise that stimulation alongside their movement.
During the trial, Amanda has been using the kit for up to an hour a day, 5 days a week for 3 months. And that drive to use the equipment has paid off. Amanda is back in the sewing room. But the trial is ongoing, so we won't know for some time if other participants are seeing the same positive results.
This is really still early stage research, because we know that some stroke patients really respond well to this technology while some don't.
So what does it mean to you to be able to do something like sewing again?
Freedom. That's my freedom back. I have my freedom back. I feel like a new woman, you know?
Well, that is good news and we wish her all the best. OK, let's have a look at some sport now and a look at last night's football in Leagues 1 and 2. We had 5 winners from 6 matches. Not a bad return, is it? And most of them still have high hopes for the end of the season too. Paul Ogden can tell us more.
Whenever Bradford City win 1-0 and Anthony Sarcevic is the scorer, it usually means something. His dramatic winner with almost the final kick of last season elevated City into League 1. Last night, his strike saw off Stockport, a real rival in the promotion race, and lifted Bradford City up to 4th place to reaffirm ongoing promotion hopes. 2 places downwards, Huddersfield Town stumbled, failing to win for a 3rd consecutive league match in the derby at Doncaster. In a tense contest of very few chances, Rovers took theirs, a first-half penalty from Luke Molyneux's reliable left foot, keeping Rovers out of relegation trouble. Perhaps even more bruising than Huddersfield's defeat was Rotherham United's, coming against an opponent in their battle against relegation, Burton. The decisive goal from Tyrese Shade keeping the Millers deep down in the bottom 4. Barnsley's win over Peterborough kept their season alive and home fans entertained. The Reds came from a goal down to win 2-1. In League 2, Chesterfield beat Gillingham, A first-half goal from Sam Curtis, enough to move the Spyrites up into the playoff zone. And there's still hope for Harrogate Town, after their narrow win at Barrow, thanks to this wonderfully cheeky and well-taken goal from a tight angle. Ellis Taylor, the scorer. Harrogate remain in League Two's dreaded bottom two for now. Paul Ogden, BBC Look North.
Before we leave sport, you might remember that on Monday's Look North we featured Axel Brown from Harrogate, who's competing at the Winter Olympics for Trinidad and Tobago in the bobsleigh. Now, Axel did say at the time that Axel Brown will go again for Trinidad and Tobago in the 4-man bobsleigh at the weekend, and when he's back at home we'll try and get him back into the studio for a chat to tell us how that whole experience was. You know, they're their only team in the bobsleigh that are self-funded, and also Leon Greenwood is for Team GB in the bobsleigh, so we'll keep you up to date with how they get on in the next race as well. Right, last year the Dogs Trust in Leeds found new homes for more than 500 dogs, and so far this year they've rehomed nearly 80. Not surprising when they're as cute as that, but get this dog has been overlooked, sadly. They're called the Underdogs, and a prime example is 7-year-old Edie. She came into the home when her owner sadly died, and as Kathy Killick has been finding out, she just can't seem to leave.
A sculpture's been standing guard at the Dogs Trust near Leeds for years and has seen more than 10,000 dogs rehomed. But Edie the Shar-Pei, despite being a beautiful, healthy dog, just can't find an owner.
Edie's just a gorgeous girl. She's really fun, she's got a great personality, she's really loving and gentle, and I feel like she deserves to be in the forever home now. She's waited a long time.
She certainly has, 6 years in fact, making Edie one of the home's longest term residents.
There's a good girl. We mustn't sugarcoat this, must we? Edie has some special needs, so what would a future owner need to be aware of?
She does still have a bit of a nervous side, so she does lack confidence when she's meeting new people. So she'll need an adult-only home with no other pets as well, because she can be a little bit worried by dogs and other animals. And yeah, just a bit of time and patience really from her new owners.
Despite some epic profile shots, 41 potential owners have ended up swiping left on poor Edie. So the Dogs Trust handlers have worked super hard with her training and to overcome her anxiety in the hope that someone will fall in love with her. They even have a home shed which has helped habituate Edie to a domestic setup.
Yeah, she's come on massive amounts now with people and being able to just see dogs at a bit of a distance as well when she's out and about, because she is quite worried by other dogs as well.
She couldn't have jumped through more hoops to find an owner. Now all she needs is someone patient, kind and quiet to make a match and give her the life she deserves. Kathy Killick, BBC Look North, Leeds.
She's lovely, isn't she? Who knows? One of our Look North viewers might be able to give Edie a home. We'll keep you posted if they do. Right, Paul's here now with the latest forecast. I've taken tomorrow off, Paul, because of course it's half term, and I had in my head that I wanted to climb Penny Ghent with the kids, but now I'm thinking that might not be such a good idea.
So Amy came into my office and said, I'm going to climb Penny Ghent tomorrow. So I showed her the yellow warning for snow. I mean, you could do an interesting piece with Mountain Rescue if you got stuck halfway up the hill.
I don't want to be the news story.
Well, we could have that. That'd be brilliant. But yes, I'll come on to the snow forecast in a minute. Let me just show you a bit of colour. It's been quite a cloudy day. That's a lovely one of the crocuses in Halifax. And this next one is a beautiful one. Look at that. How atmospheric is that? It was freezing in Filey, but a little bit of brightness showing through the clouds. So if you've got any pictures you'd like to send to me, not up Penny Ghent, but somewhere else where there's not going to be any snow, Instagram and the Weather Watcher website is where you should follow. So we start with that yellow warning. It is for the hills, the tops of the Pennines, maybe the North York Moors later. So if you've got a Trans-Pennine journey later tonight, just add a bit of extra time. The main thing about the forecast is that the air is coming all the way down south of the Azores on Friday the weekend, the subtropics, and it means it's going to turn very mild, in fact, by Sunday afternoon with we might be looking around 13, maybe 14 degrees. A lot of cloud associated with this next setup, with 1 or 2 weather fronts bringing rain, but there'll be gaps in between, so hopefully some sunny spells at times, but certainly not in the short term, not tomorrow. This is the next belt of rain. It's got some way to come, but ahead of it, as you can see, we've had a few snow flurries breaking out across the Pennines, so mostly dry at first. Later tonight, rain with some hill snow. Pennygent's up there, Amy, so don't go there. Rain and drizzle elsewhere. We'll see lowest temperatures coming in at around about 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow's high water times in a very chilly Scarborough, 5:17, and again at 5:20. So tomorrow looks cloudy, cold and windy. There'll be outbreaks of rain and drizzle at times. Still some sleet and snow, mainly over the tops of the hills. All this lot will slowly move away northwards. We might see a clearance coming into South Yorkshire, maybe parts of West Yorkshire, but rain and drizzle hanging on across northern and eastern parts of Yorkshire for much of the day. We'll see top temperatures coming in at around about 5 Celsius. That is 41 degrees Fahrenheit, but a huge change on the way. Friday, the weekend and next week. Just look at these temperatures rocketing. 12 to 14 degrees during the weekend and next week. As you can see, it's changeable. There will be some rain at times, but in between the rain bands, hopefully there'll be some decent drier and brighter spells too. And that is the forecast, Amy.
What about the Cleveland Way? Is that off as well?
That'll be miserable as well.
What about Stanage Edge in the Peaks?
Well, that'll be snowy as well.
Right, well, that's it. We tried. We're off
Just
to
do the
cinemas,
housework
kids.
or something.
Housework? Won't be doing that. That's it from us. Bye-bye for now.